Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second episode of Green Jobs, Good Jobs, a podcast by Earth Ford Group. Green Jobs, Good Jobs is a podcast where we talk to industry experts in sustainability, weatherization, energy efficiency, clean energy, and much, much more. My name is Ruby Randioa. I'm the Associate Manager of Business Development and Impact with the Earth Ford Group team. And with me is Shane Bulick, Director of Programs here at EFG. And our very special guest today is Miss Earth Ford Group herself, Diana McCarthy-Bercury. Diana founded EFG back in 2015 amongst two classmates in her master's program at Columbia University. In the last decade, she has grown EFG from a group of three to a thriving, woman-owned small business, and she is our principal, our CEO, our grand immortal leader. Welcome to the show, Diana. Did I
Thank
miss
you.
anything with your introduction? Anything else
No,
you'd like to
no.
add?
No, that's fine. Thanks, Ruby and Shane. It's really exciting to be here, and I look forward to the discussion.
Okay,
Awesome.
Shane, I'm not sure if you know this, but Diana actually got her undergraduate degree in theater, first and foremost. So
I
I want to
love
know,
that.
Diana, what inspires you to pursue your Master's of Science in Sustainability Management after theater?
Yeah, so there was quite a road that I traveled between the two. Some folks go to college and then get their graduate degrees shortly thereafter. I took a 10-year break in between and went to work and traveled the world and then came back and settled into the energy world. When I returned from living abroad, I was recruited to work for a utility company in the Northeast. Given my background, having worked in renewable energy and doing community outreach and engagement and customer knowledge, um, I was recruited to then work on sort of the other side of the grid, which is energy efficiency. It's all about helping to reduce the load on the grid through ratepayer programs such as home energy audits, maybe commercial and small business building retrofits for high efficiency technology. And so while I was there, I realized that, since I was very young, I had studied environmental science. I had traveled to Bermuda. I had traveled around the world. Started as young as elementary school working on environmental impact projects. And it had always been a common theme throughout my life. So when I started working at the utility company, or I should say a few years working into the utility company, I realized I wanted to go for back to school for some advanced learning. And I worked in Connecticut. Um, and so there's a Ivy League school there that a lot of folks tend to go to. And I wanted to get outside of the New England bubble, still in the Northeast. So I applied to the School of Professional Studies, the Sustainability Management program, what we call SUMA, at Columbia, and I was accepted. And so I was really, because I had worked in the energy industry a lot in Connecticut and Massachusetts and New Hampshire, I really wanted to go into a state where the programs were different, the delivery was different, the messages, the goals, everything were different than what I was used to. So I would, have some more out of the box thinking and exposure.
Awesome. So does New York feel very different to working in like Connecticut and Massachusetts? Is their energy goals totally different?
It's like a foreign country, really,
Oh, wow.
It's like when you honestly, I feel I'm sure anybody who works
Yes.
in energy programs in the United States, it sort of is a likeness to the EU where, you go from Germany to Poland to Italy to Switzerland to France, and it's a completely different country. For better or
Mhm.
worse, it's nice because there's a lot of independent thinking and a lot of creativity, and we're all going after the same goals, which is reducing energy impacts on the environment and trying to make our energy more reliable and stable for folks, for everybody, right? Creating that equal access. So Yes, and, every state is different and does feel completely new. While there are some things that are similar, right? Kind of like every country has a train line and a bus line, things along those lines that there's some components that are very similar. How they are going to the end goal, every state is very creative about it. So what was great about going to study at, Columbia University was the student body that I was with in the SUMA program. They came from all over the world, and and some, right from New York City, and we got to learn from one another, right?
Hmm.
Hear what is happening in India, right? What is happening in Brazil.
That's so cool.
So we
Yeah.
could borrow experiences and apply it to our real life, which is definitely something that I was afforded while I was there, and would
So
apply to my energy programs in Connecticut.
it was here at Columbia that the Earth Ford group was thought up, right? So what prompted you to really build this with your two classmates, correct?
Sure, yeah. EFG was started with two brilliant individuals. All of us had very different backgrounds. So David McSweeney, who hails from Ireland, and Michele Aquino, who hails from Florida, and myself from Connecticut, we all wanted to do something. And we all had very unique backgrounds. One was in finance, one was in energy, and one was in agriculture. So as you bump into people in classes and you get to learn about their backgrounds and learn from what their experience is and learn from their research in the program, you have great conversations about, oh, how are they doing this, right? So you build these relationships, and you start to work together on teams, and from those teams, more often than not, folks find a good foundation for starting a collaborative business approach, right? So a collaborative business effort, and oftentimes you see those relationships in grad school carry on into real world businesses.
So what does sustainability mean to you? 'Cause this is something that everyone's heard of at this point. It's almost a buzzword,
Yeah.
and I feel like not everyone has the same definition. So in
Yeah,
your eyes, what is
sure.
sustainability?
Sure. One of my professors, Bill, he taught greenhouse gas accounting, and he's probably still local to New Jersey and New York. He's amazing. His definition I adopted as my definition because it resonated with me the most, which was enough for all forever.
Mm.
Oh, that's
I
Yeah.
like
great.
that.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I bring it into every time I'm in the classroom, and I have to teach all of our classes relate to sustainability. So I always make sure to get that in there. It's easy to understand. It's easy to apply and relate to whatever
Yeah.
you're doing, whether you are a carpentry student and you work in the medium of wood, you understand that means trees and where they come from. And we talk about, well, what type of wood are you using and what are we using it for? And how long does it take to replenish that wood so that the next carpentry student can have wood to practice on or whatnot? So in plumbing, I talk to students about water. In HVAC, I talk to students about air, the right to access clean air and
Mhm.
indoor air, quality. With electrical students, it's about power, right? With architecture students, it's about positioning our buildings, um, and integrating into the communities that we live and work and study in. So enough for all forever. That's my
I love that. I appreciate that a lot because coming from more of the environmental science and engineering side, uh, that kind of side of the industry tends to really focus on just the environment. But I've always been the person to
Yep.
be like, but the people, but the people, but the people. And so that's a huge part of my personal definition of sustainability. And I really like how simple and succinct that definition is.
Yeah.
All What was it? Enough for everyone forever? Something
Enough
like that.
for all forever.
I was so close.
But you got it. You get
I love it.
that's it, right? You hear
It
it
was
once
so
and
close.
you hear
Yeah.
it once and you got the gist, you know?
Okay, so you mentioned that between your theater degree and your master's program, you did a lot of living abroad. And I really want to talk more. You always know I want to talk more about Italy and your experiences abroad. Um, can you talk about living in Italy and how that might have impacted your perspective on sustainability, sustainable living, working, anything in that realm?
Sure, sure. There's
Mhm.
there's so many times where um, I thought about going overseas and traveling and meeting new friends and family and having these experiences and life in the US, whether you're in school or you're in college or you're a parent and you're in the thick of, young children, or you've just started your career. It's a busy, busy, busy beehive that we live in, right? That's how I relate it. It's like this buzz, and you gotta just keep going, keep going, keep going, and there's no way to, like, breathe and
Yeah.
enjoy life because you get sucked up into, "What do I need to do next? I need to work for this long. I need to advance my career. I need a promotion. I need this. I need that," right? When I graduated Central Connecticut State University, Um, I graduated with my BFA in theater performance, and I don't know what happened. Maybe the line was broken, but Broadway never called. So I
They
maybe
missed
need,
out, I
They
will
did.
say.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's the call's coming. I can tell
Yeah.
any day now. HBO, somebody is going to
Someone.
realize their mistake, right? So then I that night I went out with my brother-in-law and I met one of his friends who owned a small solar company that was in Oregon and then moved over to Connecticut. And he was like, "I'm looking for a first contact. What do you know about solar?" And I was like, "Nothing, but I'm an actor, so I can act like I know about solar." And he's like, "You're hired." So I became the first contact and very quickly had to get my feet underneath me and understand, like, very, very techie stuff. But in acting, you take, a complex subject, and you have to present it to an audience and you want to win them over. That's our goal the whole time. So I got into that. I really enjoyed it. I loved what I was doing, but it was very quickly drinking from the fire hose. More work was coming. Programs were evolving. We were riding the solar coaster of funding at that time, which continues to today. It's the world's longest roller coaster.
I've never
And
heard that.
Yeah.
live, live in the industry dream. Within 1 year, I was asked to move to Boston and start a new company. So I did. And I went there and hired the people, interviewed, learned everything about setting up a business. And it was more and more and more and more and more. And then there was a pause in the funding program again. That was that solar coaster. So unfortunately, I lost my job, right? And we parted ways. That was the first time I never had something next that I was
Mm.
going for. It was like a complete stop where you get to take a breath and look around and be like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? What's the point? And I had a friend who was studying art in Venice. So I flew over there to visit her. And I thought, this is the most magical city if you've never been there. It's completely
It
mythical.
is.
And the fog rolls in and there's no street signs. A street is like the size of a sidewalk and there's no cars. You're going like in this labyrinth of upstairs, downstairs, over bridges and trying to find your way around. And, eventually like the fog clears and you see some of the most beautiful architecture. You can experience some of the most wonderful music, eat the most incredible food, drink most fabulously inexpensive wine that is delicious, doesn't leave a headache. So
Mm.
there's this whole other element of enjoying life there. I went down to um, visit Florence for a few days begrudgingly. I had zero interest in going to Florence. I was like, Venice is for me. Went there and I was like, this is where I was meant to be, Florence. And I have to figure out, I was only visiting there for a week and I was like, I need to figure out how to get back. So I signed up for a English as a second language course in Florence through Via Lingua, and was hired as an au pair up in Bergamo, a family I still keep in touch with today, 15 years
Ooh.
later. Just visited them and just really got to experience what life is all about, right? Where you're like, you work to live, you don't live to work. And they're doing what we're doing too. They have solar. They have buildings that are not 2 or 300 years old, but thousands years old, and they
Right.
value the history, and they value the embedded carbon that's in their buildings and in their streets and in their cobblestones, right? And they understand how important air quality is. So there are times where, in the summer, you can't drive in the upper city in Città Alta because they don't want the air quality to be bad. People are living there, so delivery trucks can only go, 2 days a week.
Hmm.
There are some they've got electric um, city buses that drive around and then drive like a 50-minute route and then charge through induction for 10 minutes and then go again. I mean, there are some things that are so simple that it's like, why, duh, why
Yeah.
haven't we been
Yeah.
doing? And then at the
Right.
same time, like the quality of food is fantastic, right? It's like healthy for you. It nurtures body and soul, and so do the cultures there. So um when I returned home, for love, and started a family and jumped back in, but always carried with me those lessons I learned from overseas, and thought, when if I ever have a company, right, I would want to keep keep some of those elements. I would want to bring those elements here so that it's about, when we work, we do top quality work. When we break, we do top quality breaks, right? Work hard, play
Right.
hard. Experience places that we're in together. Don't just go to a conference, but have some time to experience the local culture, the local cuisine, whatever it may be. Um, Italy closes down for August. And it's
Right.
like, obviously. So we're getting to that point. Right now, we only close for 1 week in August, but eventually we'll be at the point where, we close for a lot longer than that. So,
Oh, I like the sound
yeah,
of that. I'll stick
Yes.
around.
yeah, that's, you and me both, right?
Right.
Because I mean, who doesn't want that? And there's no reason to be working 50 weeks a year, and no
Hmm.
reason to be working 40 hours a day or 40 hours a week, right? Italians, you go out for lunch and you have, like an hour or two lunch. You're
Nah.
enjoying life, right? They start work a little later, they end work a little later, but back here it's rush, 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 go, 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 go,
Yeah.
go. You gotta really stop and think about, like, what's the priority here,
Right.
right? What's important. So, yeah, I
Yeah.
can I can talk about Italy forever. I just came back and, you know, went to go visit one of the vineyards that the au pair family I lived with now owns, called Tessio, and it's all about enriching the land and trying to revive and maintain some of these wines and grapes, right, that have been there
Hmm.
for very, very long time, and keeping the tradition and the process alive. So there's a lot that we can learn from each other, similar to the states and the energy programs. We're all doing it a little differently, but I think they've got it down for how to enjoy life.
I've never been, but I really want to go now. You know?
I will say Venice was on my bucket list, and I was really grateful. Actually, right before I started working at EFG, I had this grand calling and quit my job on a whim and went to Venice with two of my best friends,
Ooh.
and which then led me to find EFG. So apparently, you're supposed to start
Wow.
working here after Italy, Shane. You really didn't get the memo.
Right, I didn't get the
Um,
memo.
That's right. They just had their unfortunately this year we couldn't make it to the climate conference that they have there, the World Climate Conference, but we're hoping that we can go next year. Is in Milan. I know Shane Shane's on the list for that one.
Yes. Right?
um, because it is about, we do want to do really good work here in the United
Yeah.
States and in our hometowns and home cities, but there's wonderful partnerships and collaborations. It goes back to my degree program at Columbia, working with David and Michele, and we all had very different backgrounds and came from different places, and the collaboration was key.
So for me, I think coming back from Newton, Mass, for the regional conference that we all just attended, Wednesday we had our team meeting there where we had spent a day being very intentional with each other and really not just being present with each other physically but like emotionally as well. And so we got to talk about sort of the direction of EFG. You had mentioned the four pillars, the four foundational pillars that we're building everything on. So I was just wondering, could you tell the audience what those pillars are, and really more importantly, I think what they mean to you as our
Yeah.
CEO?
Mm, I prefer principal.
I know, we're getting comfortable with that CEO term.
You guys are taking some title liberties. I'm
We
allowing. I'll
You didn't like
allow it.
grand leader, grand immortal
Yeah,
leader. You
grand
didn't
leader,
like that one?
grand master, grand poobah, you know?
I'll stick with principal for now. Teammate, colleague is good too. But yeah, that's funny because you just jogged my memory too. I wanted to mention something about Italy
Go for it.
and the other things that we're going to do. But so EFG was founded on this idea of sustainability, and it's helping people and society learn how to work, live, play, and study sustainably. So, in all aspects of our life, how do we incorporate sustainability into it? Not being burdensome, but just naturally it happens. How do we best prepare people to be intentional
Okay.
and limit their impact? So, um, it was. There are so many companies out there who are just after like corporate sustainability, right? Which is
Right,
corporate reporting. Here's what the company is doing. Here's what this is doing. Here's what that is doing. And from a company perspective, that's great. That's wonderful.
right.
But can we do more? And I had worked with some companies before that, like SunPower was a great example of a company that would work with its dealers to then offer additional benefits to the employees of those companies. So, if you wanted to, if we were all working in solar energy, there would be additional benefits to help people become more renewable energy efficient or dependent at home on their own, right? So things that
Right.
would trickle from the workplace into the home place or transfer over, right? So that's the
Yeah.
idea with EFG is there's things you can do as you're working. There are career paths you can take that will help you be help you be more sustainable. If you're that's not really your intention, you're like, I want to work. There are still career paths that you can take that um, will lessen the impact on the environment and on the planet and on people. So we want to make sure that we're introducing what those career pathways are for people so that as they learn and as they work, they can
Mhm.
they can make those decisions and understand their reach or the impact that their choices make. When it comes to play, I remember I've traveled to Bermuda a few times. I think it's a really interesting country. It's a very small island, 25 square miles. It's off of North Carolina, a couple hundred miles. You can fly there from New York within, 2.5 hours. It's a great location. It's subtropical, but you don't have to go all the way down to the Caribbean for it to see the incredible wildlife and underwater life that is there. Unfortunately, I've also witnessed, tourism take over where it
Yeah.
impacts the local community and things that we're doing unintentionally, which I think when people become aware of something that their behavior changes naturally.
Right.
So, for example, we all use sunblock, right? We've had holes in the ozone layer. It's been important for us to all protect our skin from UV rays even before the ozone layer. The holes, it's been on there, right? So sun protection. Unfortunately, some of the elements that they put in many of the sunblocks are also elements that deteriorate the natural environment, especially the underwater environment, right?
Right.
And it's not so good. So for a very small nation like that, where a huge amount of their economy is based on tourism and underwater
Hmm.
tourism and activities, to um, watch how one can impact the other unintentionally but rapidly is is uh, alarming,
Yeah.
right? And I think, small changes that we make if we're working with cruise lines to say the only sunblocks that you sell are ones that are off of this list,
Hmm.
so that when folks are coming in to buy sunblocks, they can only buy ones that we know are not going to further damage the coral reefs there.
Right.
That's a small step, right? And that's the play element. So how are there different things that we can get in and influence so that there's not these unintended consequences that are happening to communities and cultures all over the time, all over the place? Are there times of year where we don't travel there so that we're protecting the society from,
Yeah.
giving them a break, a chance to breathe from tourism coming, fast and furious all the time?
Right.
You know, think about Orlando, right? Disney World. It's a great experience. It's nonstop for that community,
Yeah.
um, for better or for worse, whatever. So,
Right.
uh, the elements of play, of work, of live in your own home. People bring unbelievable amounts of household cleaning products that um, are can impact your indoor air quality, and you do not realize it.
Right.
There are other things that you could be exposing the inhabitants in your house to, even your pets, and you don't realize it. And just by educating folks and saying, here are some alternatives and here are the benefits behind it, you find that people embrace that information a lot more. So that's a little bit about like the work, live, play, study. It's important that if we're going after sustainability, if this is our intention here, that we understand that you can't just do it in one area of your life. You want to be able to do it in all areas of your life if we're going to start chipping away at this climate crisis that we are, climate and other environmental crises that we find ourselves in today.
Yeah. I love that. Number one, I love that you referenced the underwater world with the corals, and the impact. I think, it's sort of a two-tiered question. I guess I'm going to go with the first part here. Um, Coming from that is really, speaking of impact, I think, your career, well, really your life leading up to your career, leading to the development of Earth Forward Group has really had a monumental impact, not just on your life, but on many other lives, like mine and Ruby's. Um, and one of the things that I'm fascinated with is your approach. This is the last time we're going to use this title for this podcast episode, but I think if you were able to speak to other CEOs, you know the impact that you have on our organization is huge. What advice would you give to the other CEOs that are trying to lead an organization?
Mm,
I mean, that's a super easy question, right?
I like to think on that for a moment.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a challenging question for sure. And I think just as you're thinking, um we've all just experienced many different CEOs throughout our own careers, and you've seen so many different approaches. And so for me personally, when I see one that I like or one that I value that establishes this sense of community, this sense of belonging, and really all of that is unifying the impact of the work that we do, I think there's something special there. um so that's kind of where I think this question is coming from for you, is that we see something special.
Yeah. I want to add on to that is that the first day I started working here, or the first team meeting I had, Diana, you asked me for my opinion. And I was
Yeah.
like, not ready for that. you know?
Yeah.
like my first day working here, you're like, well, I hired you for your expertise. What do you think? And I was like, oh my God, this is so terrifying. But in a really great way,
Yeah.
where especially I would say most of our team is women, and
Yeah.
our voices are usually silenced in the workplace. So stepping in from a very male dominated industry, as a lot of us are from the trades, or for me
Yeah.
from environmental science, very male dominated, into this company is almost like an uncomfortable amount of growth I
Yeah.
had to have for
Yeah.
how welcoming you are and how much you actually you care about everyone in the team. You respect all of our expertise and knowledge and opinions. And that was something I was not prepared for in the best way.
Sorry about that.
Don't be.
I think one thing I would suggest is that, and I try to do this I try to do this often, is I know my strengths, and I know my weaknesses or my opportunities to improve, um, and and I trust those. And the team that's here was hired very intentionally. Nobody was rushed through the door, despite what you think, Shane, had met you for years and
Oh, man, it
years.
was years. Yeah. It
Um,
was a long process.
and it was, and I fully believe that when you trust your teammates
Yeah.
and you let them have the opportunity to explore and create, that they are more bought into the work that they're doing. They feel more connected and more passionate about it. And it breaks down the barriers so that you can create things that are real,
Yeah.
and you can have a good honest conversation, um and things I feel are more effective that way, more efficient that way. So I I am very well aware of, I know how to do the things well that I know how to do, and that everybody has ideas that I have never thought of. And so for our programs to grow and evolve and go to the next level and offer new courses for students and new services for partners and clients, I have to be able to say to the team, what else? What else do you think we can do here?
Yeah.
What do you suggest? And be able to step back and be like, okay, how and why do we do these or not do these, or
Right.
what, right? What do we do? So it, just by, letting people contribute, I think it just strengthens what the team offers, and how the team works, and how the company grows together.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's
100%.
helpful.
Yeah, totally. It's helpful. I think you absolutely just demonstrated what we were speaking about, what Ruby and I were speaking about, and the qualities that we found in your leadership. So again, certainly appreciate that. And you had mentioned some of the programs, trying to like I think it's like one of those things. If you stagnate as an organization, you die, right? Like, and that's something that a lot of smaller companies, as they transition into larger size companies, battle, is that ability to broaden their portfolios, to
Yeah.
broaden their reach, and to be bold enough to do it, and allow the people of the organization to do it in a way that allows it to maintain its projected growth and then some. I think that's where some small businesses, they can't, in a lot of ways they just can't get out of their own way, and let that happen. So I certainly appreciate your approach to it. But again, speaking with some of our programs, one of the questions I get all the time is, what the heck does Earth Forward Group do? Like, what do you do for work?
I have the best answer to that.
We want to hear it. So please.
Okay, so cue me up. Ask the question.
All right, Diana, what does Earth Forward Group do?
Yes.
That's it. That makes sense.
That is what
It
we
does.
do. We
Yeah.
say yes.
Yeah.
What are you trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish?
Yeah.
We can help you do that. Yes. Is it developing sustainable tourism, uh, travel packages and products? Yes, we can do that. Is it helping homeowners understand the ins and outs of energy services or high efficiency technology or renewables, whatever it may be? How to farm organically, train farmers um, and school children in Liberia on environmental stewardship? Yes, we can help you do that. Um, does your company want sustainability mission and goals and the sustainability commandments? Yes, we can help you do that. When somebody comes to me and they ask what Earth Forward Group does, I take a deep breath because I can choose the really long answer, which is,
Sure.
we focus on this and we're passionate for that, and all the different program management design, business jargon I can throw at them, or I can simply just say, yes, we are a sustainability firm, consulting firm that says yes. And we're here to help you solve problems and solve them alongside you.
I love that so much. I mean, my answer is yes. That's why I came to Earth Forward Group. So I love it.
Because Ruby is a perfect example of having worked on a
Yeah.
plethora of types of projects,
Yes.
right? From blog posts that are really meant to track legislation to just provide public education, public knowledge, to working with a small nation to combat poor choices of air regulation, right? Proposed air regulation, to tracking high school students and their oh so honest responses to what they think about the world, and the list
Right.
and the list goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it does.
you, building tiny houses, working with training partners. There's all sorts of things, right? We have a water scientist who we've supported for years, who is working on some really important technology that when the time strikes, when the opportunity presents itself, he's ready, and we have supported him to be ready to apply to receive those opportunities to take
Right.
his technology and bring sustainable fresh water programming and technology to various developing nations. Lead training virtual certification courses to Cairo, Egypt.
Right.
There's no shortage of what the project is and how we can work on it. We have some projects that are very similar to each other in training the next generation workforce for green collar jobs, and that's extremely important. And we're very
Hmm.
lucky to have those, and we're very lucky to have long
Totally.
term projects like that. We also get to blend in some of these other projects and some other clients that are completely different, right? Helping to promote and fundraise for a nonprofit that trains small farmers in Nicaragua,
Mhm.
um, on sustainable farming. So there's always an opportunity, and the
Yeah.
point is we have the right teammate with the right really diverse background and skill set, so we can pivot into what we need to pivot into, or understand what capabilities we have on the team and what capabilities we have with our partner network, so that we can
Hmm.
work with great companies to deliver on that,
Right.
like managing sustainable waste solutions for small communities in states.
I love that. Yeah, I think really to the audience, I think one of the things that I would really love to highlight here is just that we do so much more than just weatherization, than just the blanketed EE energy efficiency statement. We are an organization that lives lives our mission, and that is something I really really appreciate. um so given the reach, Diana, of sort of all these different programs that we have, or projects that we participate in or support, ultimately, what kind of impact do you see our organization making on the sustainability and energy efficiency industries? Really in like this unique approach that we're taking. What kind of impact do you think you see us leaving, or which impact do you hope to achieve? Maybe.
I hope that we have eventually, worked ourselves out of business in a specific area or delivery
Yeah.
because there's been so much uptick on it, so much adoption across, the country or countries the case may be. That's that's a good problem to have because then we get to like put that down and pick up the next problem to solve, right?
Yeah.
So wouldn't it be spectacular to know that all technical high school students are coming out of school with full weatherization credentials and sustainable building credentials so that we know when they go into the industry and they are building buildings or they are working on buildings that they are net zero, they are
Yeah.
passive house, they are high performance, they are LEED certified,
Right.
they are running blower doors and deck blasters, and they are 1,000 times more educated and aware of what they're doing. And
Yeah.
regardless the why, and I want a job, I want to get out of my parents' house,
Right.
I, want to protect the planet, um, whatever,
Yeah.
then that's great. Then we can put that down and know that it's in good hands of the future generation. That's wonderful. Then we can turn around and focus on healthcare and how do we provide equitable, free access to healthcare for everybody in the country. I can't solve that problem while we're solving energy in buildings,
Right.
right?
Right.
That has to be solved first, and then we can shift. So,
Hmm.
in full honesty, that's the goal is, um, you know, while I don't appreciate, folks who like to take things away from us and run away, I do
Sure.
appreciate partnership and, imitation is the highest form of flattery. So being able to watch
That's
some of the
right.
programs that I've developed, um, be replicated in other places, as long as they're doing good work, that's great. We don't have to do that there, right?
Right.
And that's some of what we've built into our company, right? With our workforce training programs, we have training center training programs, right? So
Hmm.
trying to pick up training centers across the country and teaching them on the credentials and the proctoring and this is how you do it
Right.
and this is how you deliver, a full comprehensive program, then we don't have to go there anymore. They're on their own, right? You teach a man to
Right.
fish and move on.
That's that catch and release approach that
Mhm.
I certainly love that we do that. Um yeah, it's scary at first, to really embrace this idea, this concept of working yourself out of a job. You know, but at the end of the day, it really is just proof that as an organization, we really believe in what we do to the point that we want to do something that's way bigger than just Earth Forward Group. We want to do something that's way bigger than just us. We want to actually leave the world with an impactful change, an
Mhm.
empowered change, and seeing that these approaches, like I'm joining well after Earth Forward Group has been established, and seeing all of the work that's been done here to get to this point and where we're going is it's quite remarkable to even just be a part of it at this point in the journey. So I think I really appreciate that approach to it. Okay, Diana. So we talked quite a bit about what Earth Forward Group does. What you're leading your team to do through the program delivery and design, to teaching in the classrooms. Um, I guess the final question that I would have for you is, what's new on the horizon for Earth Forward Group?
Mm. Um, it's funny you should ask that. Um, so this past weekend, I had a great conversation with someone who owns, 2 mobile home parks, and, they are considering selling in the near future. And one thing that has, we work in buildings, right? We teach about
Right.
buildings. So one thing that has always struck a nerve with me is how our residents that struggle the most financially have a higher percentage of their income that they need to pay on energy, and that their houses, well, maybe have a small footprint, are very expensive to operate,
Yeah.
and not very healthy, and not very comfortable. And I think we can do better.
Yeah.
I think Maya Angelou said it. She's by one of my heroes who her words resonate with me often and guide me is do the best you know how. And um, when you know better, do better.
Hmm.
So, one project that I'm starting to put the framework on is partnering with this organization to go one by one in these houses and rebuild them, reconstruct them, small, the same footprint, but make them high performance,
Yeah.
healthy, comfortable, make them net zero, and really good indoor air quality and really good places to live, and to utilize our technical high school students and our emerging workforce to reconstruct these affordably, so
Hmm.
that we can start um, supporting our neighbors who need it most. And when there's multiple end results that are positive, it's is a win-win-win
Yeah.
situation. So at the same time, training, helping to reinforce those skills with the next generation workforce in construction and buildings, so that they are really actually practicing how to do it better, and in a smaller footprint, which can be done and replicated relatively quickly in a short period of time. So that's the next piece on the horizon that I haven't talked to anybody on the team about yet.
Surprise.
You did
I
mention
love
it
it.
to me.
Yeah.
I was waiting
That's
for
our
this.
July
Yeah.
creativity project.
Right. I love it.
um, yeah.
That's
There's so
so
much
cool.
truth in what you said, Diana, when it comes to, um, you know, uh, I don't want to use income qualify, but it's really it's the income challenged, it's the working class and really the poor. Um, Man, the challenge, like having worked years in it, being in those homes, trying to reduce that energy burden and trying to increase the healthy um, features of that home, to make the IEQ, to make that indoor air quality better and reduce disease, reduce all of these negative things that are happening. Man, it is like just such a neglected area of our society, and I, for one, am incredibly appreciative to that approach and to thinking like that, because it's an epidemic. It's an
Mhm.
absolute tragedy that's going on in our country, and it starts with where people find their peace, they find their rest, and they escape the world, and they spend more time in it than anywhere else, at
Right.
home. So
And it's also it's having having lived in a place before where financially, it was very challenging for us. And, you know, seeing $300 and $400 energy bills come in, it's like, it's just so hard. You're constantly fighting an uphill battle, and there's no
yeah,
way for you to fight your way out of that.
that's right.
Um, we were able to fight our way out of it because we could move in with family.
Right.
But, there was a time, like in the early days where it was like, I don't know. I don't know how we can survive and if we can do this, right?
Yeah.
So, while I haven't been in that exact situation, I'm sympathetic to those who are,
Yeah.
and I think, I think, if we can do better and help support
Yeah.
neighbors and friends and family, then let's give it a try.
Right. Yeah.
right? So, yes.
I love it. I love it, Diana. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to turn it back over to Ruby here. But Diana, thank you so much for, taking the time out of your very busy schedule to participate with us on the podcast here today. It's absolutely a privilege to work with you. And again, just thank you so much for everything. This is really quite nice to represent such a wonderful organization. So
Yeah, it's great to work with you.
If you can't get enough of Earth Forward Group, please visit our website at earthforwardgroup.com and check out our blogs under EFG Insights for more information on the state of the industry, workforce development, and what we're doing about it. And also, you were talking earlier, Diana, about visiting vineyards in Italy. We have one of Georgia's blogs up. She's from Savvy Travels Co. about sustainable vineyard agriculture and wine production. So if you haven't read that yet, Diana, you definitely should. She's been a really, really great writer. So that's been fun.
Yeah.
You
And
can also connect with us on LinkedIn, follow us on Instagram at Earth Forward Group GRP, Earth Forward GRP on Instagram. And thank you so much for listening to Green Jobs, Good Jobs. Tune back in for lots more interviews with industry experts and other leaders in sustainability, energy efficiency, weatherization, clean energy, and whatever else we can get our hands on. Thank you, everybody.
thanks, Ruby. Thanks, Shane.